Good day, one and all, and welcome to our podcast or your podcast on narcon in relation to narcissists and all things to do with them in order for us to understand the narcissistic personality disorder, the energy around the narcissistic personality disorder, and how we can navigate our experience from the past in order to move forward, and also to recognize this dynamic to protect ourselves as we go on in our lives so that we don't get as destroyed, discombobulated, or thrown around again. So, the title of the podcast is Knowing the Narcissist's Demon and Knowing Yourself Energetically. This is a very popular topic, I'll have to say. The evil side of narcissism, the malignancy in narcissists. And it's understandable because what people go through with them is horrendous. And as we know, it does have the worst outcome for some people. So it is important to talk about that aspect. And I think go to the other aspects of this personality disorder when it does become malignant, in order to not just keep it clean with the psychology, but to understand the impact it has on people and to look at the motivations behind that and why it has to be so destructive if it's a self-defense mechanism. So I know a lot of people are also put off by the title demon, demonic, devil, because they see those titles as kind of medieval and old-fashioned, etc. And that's okay. And I probably might have done that myself before I'd actually got to know one, got introduced to one, seen one. So that's fine. But also the other aspect of that is that narcissists don't want us to know this information. Because if you know what's actually going on with a narcissist, you understand their behavior patterns, you understand what drives them, and you can recognize a narcissist and recognize a narcissist energetically, that has a huge impact on their power and control and their ability to destroy and get their needs met above all else, which really, in my opinion, is based on evil. So this information they do not want out there. And I know some of the channels even that are, you have narcissists talking, you have great psychological analysis of narcissism. They don't really like the spiritual side of things being put forward. I guess it's just maybe not so sexy. It's not so clever. It's not so okay. So let's get into this. I hope that this will be helpful in you trusting yourself more going forward, and just exploring this a little bit in a kind of a chatty way. So I'd start off with, I kind of have covered it a little bit, the concept of a demon in a narcissist, or that side of them that propels them to do bad stuff to people. And I know one of you in the comments said, Paula, do you believe that the person and this, demonic presence, or whatever you want to call it, you can call it anything, but when you've seen it, it's there. So that's as simple as I can say it. Do you think that they work alongside each other as separate entities? And that was a very interesting question. And I thought, you see, you often get glances of a person who has the ability to be normal in so many situations, yet that aspect of them comes out. And because when it does come out, it's so destructive, you have to say that that is in the majority who they are, if they're capable of continually and frequently being a destructive person. So what I believe is, obviously, psychology comes from the point of view that narcissists are created due to a traumatic childhood. Some of us have trauma in our childhoods and don't become narcissists. So we'll leave that there. Yes, it does appear to be the case that a lot of narcissists had a traumatic upbringing. I believe at that stage, a child even is given options, mostly will be given options. There are some circumstances where they really have it tough and they don't get shown good in people. And still, some people don't develop narcissism, but in any case, they're more prone to develop narcissism. I believe at that stage, for want of a better explanation, let's just call this malign energy the devil. The devil chats with the brain and says, if you want to do this, don't listen to them. You can do it this way. You can lie, you can do whatever. And the more the child, and then as the person grows up, the more they do that, the more they feed the bad wolf, as that old Indian proverb, the more you feed the bad wolf, the more the bad wolf grows and the good wolf diminishes in a person. So in answer to your question, I believe that the person is there, the essence, the ego, the soul, the spirit, the mind, but they're enveloped or they're motivated and driven by a malign energy source that works in tandem with them. Is it who they are? I mean, I don't know. That's a question for philosophers, for God, for somebody far greater than me to come to a conclusion. We can only hold our own personal opinions. I think sometimes that they work in tandem and that this malign energy takes over a person. But if it continues to take over a person, the person becomes more enmeshed in the malign energy. And at some points you wonder, can you dissect the original person from the person that they've grown into? That's the best way I can describe the devil in the narcissist. And we are getting to a point in relation to how this affects you and your interaction with it. The best way I could explain when I was really thinking about this, and I was thinking, how can you describe the dynamic of a narcissist and a normal person, and what happens and why a normal person becomes so attracted to the narcissist? Beside the common theory that we all know about the love bombing, of a person, of a target, of a narcissist target. And I think essentially that the narcissist is a parasitic type of life form in a human being. I think they see other human beings as prey. I think what happens is they nearly ignite an energy in us when we come upon them if they've targeted us as their prey. And I'll get into the prey and the hunting in a little bit. I think they literally clamp onto us, and the zizziness is the best way I can describe it between a victim and the narcissist in the initial stages is they literally switch us on. They pump us, they fertilize us, they feed us to grow into something that they can feed off. I think we feel electrified, energized. I think we feel curious. I've actually got some things written down here. I think we feel curious, nearly like a snake coming out of a basket listening to the snake charmer's music. It's different. It's something we haven't heard before. It's mesmerizing. It's fully focused on us. And it really does ignite us, particularly if we've been in a dormant phase or a phase of survival, or we've been grieving and we're ready to get back out into the dating world again, or we're looking for a purpose in our lives. Everything is just going along hunky-dory. And the narcissist comes on and presents this purpose where they introduce excitement and happiness into our lives quite quickly and an intense focus on us. And, we finally think, well, that is a good purpose. That's a purpose. That's, where we can plan together, we can do things together. And it takes you away from your actual individual purpose of making yourself happy and being completed before you actually meet a person to have a relationship with. So this malign energy will spot opportunities in a crowd and will target somebody. And I think that it's like putting a fuel or electric cable into you. They ignite you, they power you up, or they get you to self-generate that power. And when you're in a really good position, they need to control the power. So they need to devalue or cap all your ways of escaping. That energy is for them. They have sourced it and they have ignited the self-generational abilities that you have to pump out huge amounts of energy. Because you are a self-generating human being, you're able to regulate yourself, unlike a narcissist who's not able to emotionally regulate themselves or exist without external input coming back to them, telling them that the mask the narcissist has created is real and they're powerful and they're in control and they're controlling people to get all their needs met. So it's external for the narcissist. But you and I and anyone that's on the normal scale that doesn't have a disordered personality is capable of that self-generational energy. The narcissist has promoted that in you, and then they cap it in the devaluation stage so that they can feed it back into themselves. That's just my thought on the process that has come up recently in how they actually go about it, in capturing, holding, encouraging, fertilizing, and then feeding off you until your energy reserves are so low that they unhook the pipe, or they keep the pipe connected to you, keep those connections to you so that they can leave you for a while and you can self-generate again in the painful recovery journey. And they want to go back for another feed to push that old pipe in again and suck on it again. But they've gone off to their other sources that they've had in the greenhouse. They've had in the greenhouse over winter, and they're going back to take one of those sources out, sources being a person to feed off. So a narcissist, essentially, the best way I can describe this in relation to the hunting mechanism, and I think this is really, really, really important that we look at this particular aspect going forward in recognizing an approach of a narcissist, in recognizing when we're actually dealing with a narcissist, and in understanding the necessity to escape and also to protect and remain hidden from a narcissist. So essentially, if you go back to, say, a jungle setting where there's a herd of deer or whatever animal is hunted in the jungle, if I can put it like that, you can come up with some examples maybe in the comments. My brain's gone dead there for a minute. But animals that are hunted, say, by lions or tigers of old, they may be all out feeding in a group, in the open, in a field, munching on grass or whatever you find in jungles. And the tiger is in the bushes and is stalking slowly and stealthily along behind the trees, viewing the easiest animal in the bunch that they feel that they're going to chase and pounce on. The one nearest to them, the one that maybe doesn't seem to be able to run as fast at the moment, or the one that's fatter and juicier but just can't, is very strong but has an impediment at the moment. Maybe they're lame. You get the picture. The narcissist is hunting. Those animals, as a unit, when they get a sniff, the wind, comes towards them, they get a sniff that there's a predator in the bushes, will all put their heads up and will look and will run as a bunch because they know that there is something there. Something has changed in the energy of the dynamic. Something doesn't sound right. There's a branch broken. Something their instincts are attuned to for their survival triggers them to know, and they believe it. And I know you know where I'm coming to with this. They believe it, and they run for their lives. I believe we need to take a lesson from this. And I'm going to get into, you'd be saying, well, Paula, we're not animals in the jungle. So, the narcissist comes up to the front door, breaks a branch. How do we know that's a narcissist? And I get it. So I'd like to go through some of the stages that we know, some of the stages when we knew, and just refresh our brains on that, refresh our instincts, and to say we need to listen to our instincts, because where we can understand through psychology, and I love psychology, we can understand through the psychology how a narcissist acts and why they act in such a way, and who the narcissist is and how their psychology is set up. What it doesn't explain is the energetic emotional intelligence that we have as human beings and that the narcissist has. But in my opinion, their emotional intelligence and energetic field is disordered. So an ordered, normal human being will be able to recognize that sixth sense on physical thing that there is around a narcissist. And also through the physical, we will get to that feeling and not shut it down because we don't want to know or don't want to accept that there might be something wrong with the other person, or we think it must be something wrong with me. It must be something wrong with me. And we ignore that to our detriment. So how do we know when we meet a narcissist or we're in the relationship? I think probably is easier with a narcissist. If you're very attuned to energy, if you've been through a relationship with a narcissist, if you're very aware of these kind of things, you will have learned to sense energies, and it's easier to spot a narcissist in public or to spot the approach of a narcissist when you have the education and the sensory education to spot one. That's a separate podcast. What I'd like to do is discuss the dynamics of when you're in a relationship with a narcissist and when you look back at that relationship, what you can actually take with you going forward. One of the things that you will sense in a relationship with a narcissist, and some of these are physical, some of these are sensory, and this has been pointed out actually in one of the comments on a podcast, when someone was sitting with a narcissist, and I'll have to say I discovered this myself. When you're sitting with a narcissist and you're watching something, say on TV, Netflix, at a movie or something, and they laugh when somebody's hurt, they laugh at those kind of things, and you're kind of going, they laugh at that? And you kind of look at them and they go, interesting. These things we're picking up on, they get confused with the good times and the good presentation and the words of a narcissist. And that is what I believe is the demon in the narcissist, causing you confusion as to who you're dealing with. Because if the demon was to reveal itself, the malign energy was to reveal itself immediately, the narcissist would be unable to feed off you. They need to get you entrapped and full of energy and so confused that you actually stay there and allow yourself to be parasitically fed off. They need to make you believe that there's nothing wrong with them, but there's definitely something wrong with you. So that's one physical manifestation. The next thing is, do you remember in the relationship with the narcissist? God forbid you're still in it. There's a competitive feeling with the narcissist. You feel you're in some sort of competition. That's not normal in a loving, intimate relationship. It's not normal in someone who has a lot of empathy and love for you in particular, because they're not jealous of you getting on, and they don't have to make themselves feel better than you. That energy is a combative energy, and that should alert you going forward in amongst all the other things. Feel that energy, feel it and recognize it and believe it. When someone is being competitive with you in an unhealthy sense, always above everything, about how you load the dishwasher, what you look like, you're eating too much, or whatever competition they're setting you up for. They're probably not such good examples, but there's always a sense that you're not good enough and that the narcissist is better at something. That's combative. That's not cohesive and productive. That's someone who doesn't have your best interests at heart. And that leads into the devaluing. Someone that is devaluing you is looking at you as not worth anything, not something to be treasured, not something to be promoted in life. And that is a very negative energy to encounter. Believe it. Believe it when even if they say it's for your own good, I'm telling you. Don't tell me something so bad about me. Encourage me to be good. Encourage me, and then some of them will encourage you and say it's for your own good, but there will be a devaluation in it. But recognize that. If that's happening over and over again, and they're competitive with you, this isn't your friend. This is enemy style of energy. The next thing is, the other things are, I suppose this is more to do with the beginning. Sorry, I've gone from the middle to the beginning. The overloving. The overloving is the more enticing, hypnotizing. It feels strange. You know it felt strange. You know that set your alerts off. That set your alerts, just like the animals in the jungle when they all put their heads up and stop eating grass and look to the side to see who's there. That's what happened with you. I know it because I know it happened with me. But it was so great. It was so great after a kind of a dormant period when someone comes along and tells you you're amazing. Like, yeah, it might send your alerts off, but do you really want to say, well, that's my enemy now, I have to stay away from them? Of course we don't. Of course we don't. But going forward, listen to the alerts that you're receiving in a lot of different areas. I know we file them away. I know that at some point in the relationship, it gets too much and all those things have mounted up. And the big red flag is so big that you can't ignore it any longer. But you've wasted a lot of time, and maybe bad things have happened in the meantime when you ignored the alerts to your safety. The next thing, or the next two things in the dynamic with a narcissist, where the narcissist demon is fully showing themselves, and you know but you don't want to know, is the chaos that they cause with the push and the pull in the relationship, and the hovering around you as if they're going to maybe pounce, and then they don't pounce. They come forwards, they come backwards, like the lion or the tiger chasing the prey in a circle and confusing them with the changes of directions until they pounce, until they get the prey so confused, so tired, so exhausted that they're able to pounce and devour them. And that is essentially a narcissist causing you to have chaos, causing you to lose energy, causing you to lose your emotional intelligence, instinct, your emotionally intelligent, instinctive survival will to live. knowing the enemy, knowing there's an enemy in your midst. So we have got to, you knew. That's what I'll say to you. And please leave in the comments, did you know? Did you instinctively know that this person had something wrong with them? Did you not want to know, or did you also self-reflect and say, maybe it's me that has something wrong with me? Maybe it's me. And of course, they'd help you along with that, very much so, saying, yes, it is you, because that's what narcissists do. But even if you did say, maybe it's me, if you're in a relationship and you're coming up with problems and it's destructive, it's a destructive relationship for you, you're not thriving eventually. You did in the beginning. You're now becoming less of who you are. You're now becoming shelled out. You're becoming a shell of yourself. And you still say to yourself, maybe it's me. Even if it is you, then the relationship is not for you. You need to get away from that relationship to look back at it objectively, even for a period of time. And fine if it's you. But if being in that relationship is actually you and it isn't if you're with a narcissist, but that's what you end up believing. Don't ignore your knowing. Your knowing is a precious gift you were given that people these days, because we've become sophisticated in, inverted commas, because we now have science, we have psychology, and we're all quite, elegant, we're all, technical, we have loads of technology, we're all super great and busy. We have forgotten the very basics of our survival. And to ignore the fact that evil exists, in my opinion, is going to be our ultimate destruction. Because it does exist. It exists in a form with malign narcissism and further on down the levels of psychopathy. Evil things are done. If you don't want to call the person evil and you say there's something in them that causes them to be evil, whatever, but evil exists, just as good exists. The greatest trick that evil or the devil has ever played is to convince people that it doesn't exist. So it can come in, destroy them, have them thinking it's all their fault, and be wiped out by these predators that live amongst us. Every human being has the ability to do bad and good. Even normal human beings can do heinous things. But if somebody is living their life in that manner, in that narrative, in that trajectory, it behooves us to listen to our emotions. Our emotions are going to tell us everything about that person if we choose to process them in the correct manner. We knew. We know. We explain it away, or we allow a narcissist to explain it away. We don't want the experience to end. We're afraid of being on our own. We will lose out financially. We have children to think about. There are so many reasons that we stay in relationships with narcissists, and they're very understandable. And sometimes narcissists can be not so bad. And let me explain that before everybody gets on the comments and saying, I will tell you narcissists are evil. They are. They have the capacity to be very evil and continually do things that are evil. Sometimes narcissists can make it okay to live with them. They can just feed off you slowly so you kind of don't notice. And it takes years before you finally realize that you're unable to generate any happiness for yourself any longer, and that you have a pipe attached to you that's sucking everything you have out of you. People find it hard to recover from a relationship with a narcissist because they're still energetically connected to that person. That person has done a lot of work on them to have conduits still going to them energetically, conduits to their brain to block off that emotional intelligent instinct, to know that that person is ultimately going to destroy you and is even destroying you from afar as you sit there trying to recover from them. It takes a big leap of faith. It takes small steps that accumulate into finally a big run and a marathon away from that person. And it takes a lot of determination to listen to your instinctive emotional intelligence that tells you there's a lion in amongst the trees. No offense, lions. There's a predator in amongst the trees, and that predator is coming for you, and that predator is going to run you around a field. That predator may not even kill you. They may just injure you enough to leave you to come back and have you for supper. So if you want to lie there, and I know this is hard, and I've been there, if you want to lie there and lick your wounds but not put any protection up against that predator, you're in a dangerous position. Listen to your emotions. Listen to your instinctive survival mechanism. Once you get this, you're good to go. And I know people will say, well, Paula, I ran into another narcissist. If you really open up to the fact and believe in yourself, and believe in yourself that you are a good person, that you're doing your best, that you made mistakes, that you may be ashamed of, that you wish you could change things that you've done in the past, you wish you could change things you did yesterday. You have now. And as someone said to me as I was coming out of the gym the other day, I said, I wish I'd done this years ago. And she said to me, the best time to do it is now, Paula. The best time to do it is now. The only time and the best time to do anything is now. And I thought, thank you so much. That is the best advice I've received in a long time. So take with you all the past experience and be open to your beautiful self. Be open to understanding that energy and that not everybody is out for your welfare, but there are a lot of people that are. Don't let that narcissist make you think that the world is full of narcissists. It's not. I've met so many good people, so many good people. There is a whole world of humanity that wants the best for each other. And listen, I've spoken to people from literally all over the world, and we're all the same. We're all the same. We all have this human aspect to us that loves, that wants the best, that knows we're not perfect, that gets devastated by narcissists, that gets taken off our purpose, that really gets destroyed spiritually. And I think that that is the root of healing. I think it's believing in yourself, believing in spirituality, believing in energies that aren't good for you and staying away from them, and harnessing energies that are good and protecting those and not being kind of too fickle with that. When you get zizzed by someone, and there's an energetic kind of a feeling, and I'm not talking about sexual chemistry, although that's there as well. But someone that's too zizzy, someone that's too much, someone that sets alerts off in you, take your time, stand back, be aware that they could possibly be a narcissist. But you go about your business, you don't change anything in your life. See how they integrate with that. And if you get any more of those feelings, I would back off. I would back off and really think about what I'm doing, entering into a relationship that's making me feel a bit strange or making me feel way too good to be true. Once you've been with one It's kind of like singing a song. If they sing the same song, you kind of go, I know that tune. I know that tune and I know the ending of the song. So I think I'm going to just switch the radio off and have a little walk, and I listen to some different music. I'll go with my people. I'll get immersed again in the music of my soul with my tribe of people, build up my strength. And if that person comes along again, I'll reassess the situation. And we don't have to be on hyper alert. We don't have to be hyper vigilant. This becomes natural within us when we're living a life of our purpose, when we've also been educated and had the experience of what it feels like to be with a narcissist, and even to see a narcissist in action coming on to somebody else. It's amazing the things you see post narcissistic abuse, post a relationship with a narcissist. The world opens up, the colors are more magnificent, and you are more protected in a divine knowing sense. So I will conclude the podcast with somebody who has gotten off the sofa, who is waiting at the other side of the chair for his, I can't even say it aloud, WALK, because all hell will break loose once I turn the podcast off. Listen, take care of yourselves. He can spell. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.